Welcome back to BookIt, the show where we talk about books and what they can do for you and what they can do through you. Today, we're happy to have back as our guest Wayne Kuhn, the author of the book Recharge. We're going to talk about that book. Welcome back, Wayne.
Thank you, Bud. Good to see you.
I was reading through the book and I came to chapter 8, which is about actions creating results. And before I get into any of the specifics of the chapter itself, I wonder if you could just talk to me a little bit about why you named a chapter Actions Create Results.
Actions create results seems very not mundane, but simple. Of course, we do something and this happens. I think the premises of actions create results is to be aware of what actions we're taking when we look at our results. And one of the four pillars that I talk about, the last one is where we look at our results, where we be accountable for what we did. And so sometimes people they blame the results on other things around them, exterior things, when it's actually, well, what did you do to create that result? And so you start to become aware of what you're doing. And when you're totally aware of what you're doing, then you look at the results that's when the tweaking starts. One of the things I remember as a realtor, over and over again, they always told us, well, set goals, you set your goals. And every year we used to set goals. And then we'd look at the end of the year and think, oh, we didn't reach our goal. Okay, well, let's try next year. But we wouldn't change our actions. We wouldn't change the way we did anything. So yet we were expecting different results. And I think, oh, this isn't working. And so when you start to become aware of that, and the simplicity is there, but a lot of people just aren't taking ownership to that and aren't making the changes they need to affect the end result.
Makes a lot of sense. Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So people say, not paying attention to your actions is kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. So that's the way they think of it. You have a great example. I love how you use the imagery of the car in this, but in this case, it's the driver of the car I think you're more focused on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's an example I use in one of the workshops that I do, because everybody or most people drive a car. And so it's an easy thing to hook into. And I'll say to people, the next time you are driving down the highway, look at your hands and the location of them and what they're doing. And I'll say, okay, and their hand will be going like this. And they think, whoa. The first time I realized that, and I watched my hand, and I go, my hand was going up and down, and it was keeping the car on the road. Yet my mind wasn't there at all. It was on the song or where I was going or what was it, So what happens is your muscles and your mind are automatic, and they will drive the car automatically. Now that doesn't mean when somebody jumps out in front of you, you don't react right away, or when you come to a stop sign, you slow down and stop, because those are all pre-programmed things. So these are automatic actions. And when I realize this and start talking about this to my audience, they realize that, yeah, we often drive to a spot and stop and look and think back, and how did we get here? Because it was automatic. So now you become conscious of every move you make. So when you get in your car, be aware of where your keys are, what you're doing, and start breaking it down. And a good example is if you have a 16-year-old and you're teaching them how to drive, you hand them the keys, they go, keys, now where does it go? It goes in the keyhole, it's right on the column, and you start going step by step. So put your foot on the brake. No, that's the gas. No, it's the other pedal. Put your foot on the brake. Okay. So now you're going to turn the key, and it's going to go, rah, rah, rah. Now don't do anything else until I tell you to, right? You put it into drive, yeah. And so it's one of those step-by-step things that you have to consciously go through with somebody that's never done it before. So the reason I say this is now take that simple example of driving a car and apply it to everything else we do in life. And so that's where being conscious of your actions comes in. We get up in the morning, we brush our teeth, and if you're conscious of it, you likely do the one side, then the other side, then the back and the front. We do it like this, bang, bang, bang. We get up, we put our pants on. Did you ever wonder if you put the right leg in or the left leg? Try reversing them. It'll drive you crazy. So little things we do all the time. So what other things are we doing automatically every day that if we became conscious of them and shifted them, we would get better results? And those are the things that I address in this chapter more than anything. And then try to get people thinking about, wow, I'm not doing this, but if I did do it, I would get a better result. So yeah, that's
yeah. Something that occurred to me while I was reading that in your book is the idea of having somebody giving you feedback. You and I both belong to Toastmasters, and those of our listeners who are members of Toastmasters know that there's a role in every meeting. We get somebody to fill called the counter. It is a person who counts filler words that don't contribute to what you're saying, but we say them anyway. And anyone who's watched a lot of the politicians in our world, the prepared speeches, they're great at, but you put them in front of a scrum of press people and their answers become filled with uhs and ums, and they don't even know they're doing it.
Definitely.
And it's the same thing in business and in everyday life, is that there are things we are doing that are literally undermining our goals. And as you've pointed out in this chapter, actions are what creates your results. And so if your actions are things that undermine your goals, guess what? That's something that's going to happen.
Definitely.
I was thinking of the section you had in your chapter there about react versus respond. And that kind of ties into this whole thing. It flows from it, if you want to pick it up from there.
Definitely. And I think that what I would say to that is the more recharged you become, the more aware you become, the more higher mindset that you function in, then you start to realize that some of the things you react to, you will be able to stop and think through. So if somebody says something to me, rather than snap back at them, I would pause. And then I would think and respond more effectively. And so I say this, I guess, hoping that people will have faith that this is what happens, is your awareness will change and the way you function and react will change. And then you become responsive. And responsive is a much more productive way of managing a situation than a reaction. Now, that doesn't say that reacting all the time is negative, because if your child ran out onto the road and there's a car coming, I would hope you would react immediately, and jump on the situation, and you likely would. And so some of that reaction power you don't want to, dismiss. But in generally speaking, I'm thinking of situations where you're in a group of people or in a meeting where you may react to somebody's comments rather than stop and think and say, what were they actually trying to say, and how can I respond so that it's most productive in those situations. And it takes practice, but like I said, a higher mindset will pull out positive responses and be able to respond more productively and more positively, energizing the situation.
That makes a lot of sense to me. It sort of flows also naturally into that idea of meaningful daily actions that you can take. What sort of actions do you think, do you try to get people to think in terms of?
Well, I definitely I'm a big advocate of routine, and but the routine that'll get you to where you want to go. So when I talk about the hour of power, to me that is a routine, that is an exercise. It's almost like I want to say the programming that's in your mind right now has got you to where you are today. That's a reality. Now, if you say to me, you want to get over here, you want to, it's like that saying, there's a gap between where you are today and where you dream of being. That gap is where your thoughts are, and that it's in that gap where we try to, build from and make those changes. And so so the program you have today, my goal is to change that program. And the way we change that program is through repetition. So we bring in a new idea and then we repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and becomes natural. It's like you want to learn to play the piano. So I'm going to ask you to run the scales every day for 10 minutes, up, down, until your fingers become lubricant and you can hit those notes without doing it. Same with learning to type. That's how we do it. Repetition, repetition, repetition. So now I'm going to teach you a new skill, whatever that is, to lead you to where you want to go. Maybe it's speaking, maybe it's writing, maybe it's interaction, it might be running, whatever skill you want to learn. It's that repetition that will change your mindset. And so that's what we encourage and try to teach.
It makes a lot of sense to me. The idea that you don't just go through your day, you plan how you're going to go through your day, and you plan it with actions that are going to achieve your goals. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Doing the same thing is going to get you to the same place. If you want to get to a different place, then you've got to figure out what actions are going to get you there. I love that thinking. And it's sort of the next step that I thought of when I was reading your chapter. I love the fact that you go back to the car analogies a lot, and that's not a bad thing. It's what you know about because you spend a lot of time in your car. But the last thing you went into in that chapter is the idea of the tune-up, the activity of the tune-up. You were wondering where I was going there, weren't you? Why is he back to the car? But yeah, you talk about it. And I mean, anybody who's had a car knows that if you don't get a tune-up every once in a while, you're going to have problems. But tell me what you mean by it in the context of people and how they are growing in their lives.
Yeah, in the tune-up section, I basically asked 4 questions, and I think tune-up is a matter of stopping life, sitting back and saying, and ask yourself, am I doing what I want to do? Am I achieving the results I want? Am I happy in what's happening? And how is this affecting things around me? I believe there's too many people that are on this treadmill and they're running. Not physically running, but life is going on. They go to work, they come home, they have supper, they watch TV, go to bed, and you do this 5 days a week. Oh, it's the weekend, and it becomes repetitive. But it becomes so repetitive that it's unconscious, and they're not aware of what they're doing. And life goes by, and they go, "Oh, the year's gone," and and next year's coming, and we're going to do the same things over and over again. And are we happy? Is this what we really want to do? So the tune-up is kind of am I doing what I'm doing, or am I doing something that I should cut back on? Am I watching too much TV? Am I, whatever that is? Is there something I want to increase? One of the things I talk about is reading. I've always wanted to read more because there's value in education. And so maybe I want to increase that a little bit. Maybe there's something I'm doing I should just stop. whatever that is, eating before I go to bed. Maybe I should just cut that out because we know it's bad. We shouldn't do it. So let's just stop it. And the way to stop it is change the habit, change the direction. Don't sit in that chair with your comfy and your feet up looking at the TV, because the first thing you'll be thinking of is bag of chips, bag of chips. I gotta have a bag of chips, right? So you gotta change, you shift that habit. And of course, then the last thing was, what do I need to bring in? What do I need to add? Do I need to join Toastmasters, or do I need to join a mastermind group, or what do I need to add into my life to help me springboard to the next level? And so those are all recharge things that you want to add in and bring forward. Yeah.
Almost the whole tune of the chapter that we've been reviewing, I think, is that saying that I heard years ago, and that is that, some people make things happen, some people watch things happen, and finally there's the group that sits back and goes, "What happened?"
What happened?
Uh, and we're talking here about becoming the people who make things happen. And that's the whole idea of the tune-up, is, as I understood it, was at the end of the day, take a look at how your car ran, and then fine tune up the operation, and make sure that it's going to get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
We've been talking about, we're coming down to the end here, but we've still got a couple of chapters to go. But we've been talking about chapter 8 of Wayne's book, Recharge, and I strongly encourage our watchers, our viewers, to go onto Amazon. You don't have to go to a bookstore and risk getting, sick or something like that, but go onto Amazon, or and log in there and type in Wayne Kuhn, Kuhn, and Recharge, and that book is going to pop right up, and all you have to do is click on Add to Cart, and you can have Wayne's book in a couple of days.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne, for giving us some insights into your chapter 8 of your book. And tomorrow we'll come back again and look at chapter 9. You
Awesome.
have a terrific day.
Thank you, Bud. And you too. Take care. Bye for now.